I've had a wonderful career in football, but now I want to give something back. I want to help our game's young players.
Whether you do or don't make it, you're prepared for life itself.
One player makes it, then I've done my job.
This time I'm looking at other ways we can support our younger footballers.
I still have them dreams that normal parents have.
It's exciting to know that you've got a child who actually has a love for something and wants to pursue it.
Have you not owned it yet?
No.
Southampton's academy has an incredible record of producing talent. And one of the biggest success stories has recently rejoined the club. But could there be another Adam Lallana making his name in red and white in the future?
I'm just like a normal parent. I'm excited that my lad's in the system. I'm probably more excited watching his games than I'm playing my games now.
I'm a very fortunate parent that I have support as well. So when I can't take Arthur, I've got, whether it's my wife or grandparents, and I know a lot of parents, don't have access to that, aren't able to get the time off work. So it can become stressful for the parents. When parents become stressed, at times they won't know they're doing it, but they put more pressure on the kids. There's an external pressure of making it professionally, which is extremely unrealistic. The football club do a lot to help parents, giving them money per mile for the travelling, and that should happen. There probably should be even more in place, because it only takes one big sale from a youth team player, whether it's Theo or Fox Chamberlain eventually going, that contributes to every other player that hasn't made it. They can be damaged. When Jurgen Klopp told me there wasn't going to be a contract at Liverpool and I need to find another club, I was distraught for a week.
Even at that age, with all what you've done?
With all that I'd done, with all the success I'd had, that feeling that I had, I remember for the next week of rejection. It was the right thing. I knew there wasn't going to be a contract, but him actually saying to me, there's not going to be a contract, you need to find another club. And I remember just how I slept the next week. It was tough. Imagine what these young boys, that it's their dream to become professional.
What advice would you have to the parents who have these youngsters who are going through the system?
So just because I'm a player and I've played, I still have them dreams that normal parents have. It's so important that we don't pass that pressure on to our kids, whether it's a young girl or a young boy in the academy. I was so lucky. I never felt an ounce of pressure growing up from my parents, not an ounce. So there was never, ever any pressure to perform, to play, to be a professional. I always kind of had to find that myself. If you want to be a professional, you'll learn in the end what you need to do. I'm like a normal parent, but if I've had a bad day or a bad training session myself and then I come and watch my lad, I talk to myself and I say, don't take it out on him today. Don't, if he has a bad session, say, what you're not doing this for, what you're doing that for. I kind of say to myself, when he gets in the car, did you enjoy that today?
Yeah.
Did you enjoy it? Did you have fun? Did you work hard? The pressure's coming. If you're going to make it as a professional, it is coming. It's tough at times, so we don't want the kids feeling it prematurely.
I wanted to hear a bit more from parents. They play such a big role, all that time and all those sacrifices for their kids to just have a chance of making it. So I turned to someone who's seen it from all sides, parent, coach, and player. You don't play 500 league games just because you can throw a ball on the pitch. So being the player that you were and the qualities that you had, Raw, and now you've got two sons who have come through it, what do you think the differences are and what are the strengths and weaknesses?
Financial situation of the game's massively changed, that they can take more risks, and I think that's the issue. The youth team I played in, there was only 6 places for apprentices in each year at that stage. It wasn't the glitz and glamour that they have today, so it was tough, but I think the amount that came through at Carlisle at that time, 8 of us in the 2 years ended up playing in the Premier League. I know the EFL, the Premier League, fund the apprenticeships, so there's not a financial issue for the club to give 24 contracts out to youth players. And it's too much. It's drowning and almost dilutes the quality, I think. If you're in a club full-time, you should be elite. I worked 13s, 14s, 15s, 16s at Derby. It used to break my heart because you'd sit in parents' evening knowing that the kid wasn't at the level.
But you had to keep him.
But we had to keep him because you couldn't fulfil a games programme.
Yeah.
Whereas if you flip that to one games programme per 2 age groups, in my opinion,
Yes.
I don't know, but you'd be carrying less bodies.
Yes.
Some people don't develop at the same rate as others physically.
Yeah.
But I'm a believer that you find a way. You know,
Yeah.
you look at some of the best players in the leagues, and people say, oh, they'd have been released if they were in England. You know, your Bernardo Silvas, your Messis.
Yeah.
You know, there's smaller players, but I don't think they would. My son plays, you know, James McAtee, who was a dot until about 18 months ago.
Yeah.
But he was always the best player.
So Liam goes to City, Finn goes to Curtin. Psychologically, how did that affect you personally as a parent?
It's really difficult as a mum seeing them both go off to do the same job but very different rewards. So Liam loved his time at Derby. Obviously, Derby decided that they wanted to sell him. So as a mum, devastated. He's just turned 16, losing my baby, my firstborn, and he's moved away from home. But I have to say, fantastic up there. I knew he was safe. They
Brilliant.
had curfews. They lived on site. There's not many clubs that have that facility.
Yeah.
You know, he lived on site and loved every minute of it. Finn was obviously really different. He was very lucky, wasn't he? He had loads of offers, but he chose the one close to home. He's done it the other way. He's played Step 3 football. He played National League, and he's played, I think he's over 70 games, men's football now.
Yeah. How did you feel, Ro?
To be honest, I sort of knew. I think Finn was probably one that kept on probably a year too long, because I knew he probably wasn't at that level at the time. I didn't push them, but I knew what the decision was going to be. So I said, why would you leave it to March? Do it as soon as, and thankfully they did.
And then he could concentrate on his GCSEs because he knew what he was doing afterwards.
Yeah.
So it was good. But bearing in mind, a lot of his friends had been released and they were still having to do trials while the GCSEs were going on. That must be very hard to try and focus your child into doing his exams. I actually think it would be really beneficial if they learned a trade or if they did something practical, so alongside a different education programme. I worked in football and Jim Smith was the manager back in the day. And I can remember young lads going off and doing bricklaying.
Yeah.
So he sent them off bricklaying for a day. Jim was a little bit more ahead of the game. He had sent them off and, you know, sometimes they'd got that little bit of skill that they wouldn't have had just going through an education programme. Hopefully, Finn will have a career and a long career, and Liam will have a career and a long career, and they might sort of end up meeting on the way.
And this is Miles Lewis-Skelly at Arsenal since the age of 9.
It's exciting to know that you've got a child who actually has a love for something and wants to pursue it. Joining an academy, I really used to think of it as a bit of a posh youth club because it was free. I didn't have to pay for it, which is great. And obviously, as time's gone on, he's got better. It's been self-driven, which makes our life easier. I know it's something that he really wants to achieve.
Marcia Lewis, Miles's mum, is on a mission to help other footballing parents by launching her own platform.
Set up the #1 fan club to support parents who are navigating the youth football industry, because it's a lot harder than it seems at times. It's not us giving advice, but it's a sharing of stories and wisdom of the parents. Different stories will resonate with different people. So it's an opportunity to be part of a community, to ask questions, have discussions, Q&As, workshops and events as well. And I think that there's an expectation that you'll sort of go in, your child will develop, they will become a professional player at some point, at some level. But there's a lot that goes into supporting that journey as a parent. And I think to have a better understanding of those things, I think will really help. For example, logistics, like getting your child to an academy 3 days a week when you're working full time, or when you've got other children at home, or the cost of travel, or the cost of kit, or balancing education and school. So these considerations, I think we don't often sort of understand what's involved before we kind of jump in. And I remember my son was quite young when an agent first called us, and it was a time where I just wasn't thinking that that was a thing. Like, he was still 11. You might be quite flattered by that attention and get involved far too soon, and that can have consequences. The same in terms of brands. Without a platform like ours, then there's a lack of transparency amongst the industry for information. And I know that academies want this to be an enjoyable experience for the children. They really do. So I think it's up to us parents to also recognise that we are the gatekeepers to a lot of this. If we're not happy and enjoying it and supportive in a way that's positive, it's not going to have a positive effect on our children.
The football authorities are doing their own work with parents to help both them and their children. We went to see a session at Charlton, put on by the LFE in partnership with Working with Parents in Sport.
What do you enjoy the most about being involved in your son's football, and what are the best bits for you? I think it's a really challenging job being a sports parent in an industry where there are no guarantees. There's lots of uncertainty. Trying to navigate that journey, all the emotions that go with it, I guess for both ourselves and our children, makes it a really difficult role. And I think the more support, understanding, self-awareness we can support parents with, it is for the better. We can really shape how they see the world, how they see their sport. We're not here to tell people how to parent. It's very authentic, it's real. We can drive a lot of that journey, but actually, if we're still driving it in those teenage years, then the motivation isn't coming from the player and it's all because of our wants and our needs, then it starts becoming really tricky. The car journey to and from the game. For some parents, the best time in the week. For others, the greatest minefield that's ever existed.
Meanwhile, clubs themselves are also conscious of how important relationships with parents are.
Hopefully today sets the scene a little bit. First task, guys, just to see where your thinking is if you scan that QR code.
Used to be years ago, you had this vision of players standing outside a room and coming in to see the head teacher and being told you can keep or not. That's gone. We have 4 formal catch-ups with the parents throughout the year. Our doors are always open to the parents to come and speak to us at any point. There's so much online information they access. The key bit for us is managing that narrative as they go on the journey. So educating parents as well, because the pressure that often comes for people to be footballers doesn't come from the football clubs. That message has changed. What we want to say is, right, come to our club, we'll look after you from nutrition, we'll look after you from a medical perspective, we'll look after you from a football perspective, you'll train in great facilities, we have wonderful coaches, you go and enjoy the journey, you'll do multi-sports. Quite a different experience from many people anticipate academies actually are. But what we also need to do is make sure that mum and dad, when they go in the car after the game, aren't just focusing on becoming a Premier League footballer, because we accept that they're not all going to be that. But if we actually take the journey for what the journey is, we'll produce good footballers, but also good people off the back of that.
One parent who's hopeful their son is going to make it is the former Premier League midfielder Darryl Powell. His son, Jayden, who's just turned 17, has signed a 3-year scholarship at Nottingham Forest. So we've come along to have a chat with both of them on what could be a very big day for Jayden. Hello, mate.
Hi, mate.
Good to see you.
You good?
I'm all right, thank you. Do you mind if I pop in? Because you know how tough it is, and because you're also a caring parent, you want what's best for your sons. How do you look at it?
I think there are more parents than you think that are footballers and had good football careers that have got sons that are now involved in football. I've seen a lot of them on the circuit. I do share my experiences with Jayden. I do share the pitfalls, the joys. I really try and make a point of him to try and express yourself, try and embrace it, try and enjoy every moment. You don't know how long it's going to last.
There he is.
Hi, you okay?
Good to see you, Jane. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Come on then, what's for breakfast?
I'm going to make scrambled eggs with smoked salmon on toast.
When you got the nod that you were being kept on, did you know which day you were going to find out and get that decision from Forest?
We just sat down with the academy manager. My mum and my dad was there. And then they told us. But the day was organised, yeah.
What was going through your mind?
I feel like you got to just believe in yourself, because if you don't believe in yourself, then other people won't.
When you consider all that your dad's achieved in the game, having his advice and his guidance, does that help?
Yeah.
Or does it add more pressure?
Because my dad has been like where he's been, he's played in a World Cup and stuff. People expect a lot because like your dad's done it, you can do it, and then people, when you do something good, they'll say it's because your dad, he can get you there or whatever. It's helpful as well because he can tell you what to deal with, how to deal with things, because he's been through it all.
There's something else quite big happening today, Jayden.
Yeah, my GCSE results. Oh gosh,
But your dad's made it very clear you've got to have a backup because, of course, you don't know what's going to happen in the next few years.
You know, when you talk to like people that haven't made it, like the coaches at football that say, I've been through the journey, they say how hard it is to get through, and then you're like, well, maybe I do have to try a lot in school because it might not work out. I'm going to rush it, I'm just going to keep working hard.
Jayden's older brother, also Daryl, was an academy footballer himself. Injury robbed him of the chance of progressing to professional level, but he's come to support Jayden today.
Just the one. See you later. Job done.
Have a good day, yeah? Hope training goes well. And don't forget to tell your mum how the results go from GCSEs. You can tell me later when I see you.
How does it feel now going to get your GCSE results compared with that D-Day when you found out whether Forest were going to offer you a 3-year contract or not?
It's not really as exciting. It's more like, hopefully I did good, bit of nerves. My predicted grades are already quite good, so I'm on like a B.Tech program.
Look after it, Del. Yeah, he's got some high expectations. See you on the other side.
Yeah, see ya.
Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you.
Have you not owned it yet?
Nah. I'll wait until we get in the car.
Yes! I passed it! Yes!
That's what English.
Yeah, I passed everything. I passed everything. Yes.
Oh, congratulations!
Yeah. Thank you.
Oh yeah. Oh, I passed everything.
That must feel weird. You've just got your GCSE results and you're going into work as a professional footballer and you're back in the classroom again.
Yeah, I know. Oh, so long. Such a long day.
You see the first team players all the time, don't you?
Yeah, all the time.
What's that like? Does that give you a boost?
Yeah, it's nice. They all talk as well. They're quite friendly.
Hello, big man.
Yeah, I'm good, thanks.
You good?
Yeah, I'm not a nerd. I got a 6 in maths, 5 in English.
Have you got on with your results?
I did good actually. I passed everything.
What you've got today is a combination of your work that you've done over the years. Some of you will be pleased, some of you will be a little bit disappointed, and some of you will be very happy.
So if you didn't get a 4 in English or maths, okay, that's absolutely fine. You can either go 2 routes. Either you can do 1 A-level at B.Tech diploma, so that's the certificate, or you can go to do the level 2.
So what do Jayden, his teammates and all academy youngsters have to tackle in terms of their education? Under 9s to under 11s remain in school, taking on a part-time training model. No teaching time is missed. Between under 12s and under 16s, players can stay full-time at school or take up a hybrid training model, attending the club up to 2 days a week for training and education. There is also a full-time training model available. When players reach under 17s, they sign their scholarships. Clubs now directly oversee their education, offering an apprenticeship programme.
The Sporting Excellence Professional Apprenticeship contains all the knowledge, skills and behaviours that are required really from a young footballer to progress. Throughout the 2 years, the apprentices will develop those knowledge, skills and behaviours to a level that will enable them to pass the endpoint assessment. That B.Tech course is directly written for elite professional footballers. The units that they'll do at college on the B.Tech, technical, tactical, psychological, nutrition, they'll be learning about elements that they can impact on the pitch. Any boy who doesn't get a grade 4 and above in English and maths will do an appropriate functional skills qualification. A number of boys will do the extended diploma, which works out at a 3A level equivalent. Those boys will apply to go to university. They will apply to go to USA scholarships. Some boys will get professional contracts.
Every scholar also has the chance to gain a coaching qualification, with the PFA offering UEFA C-level certificates.
They engage in a programme of education around the C licence, as well as practical coaching delivery. Sometimes it's about, in the very first session, actually getting them to understand the benefits of doing it, because their space is maybe focused on, I want to become a professional player. However, when they understand that, OK, do your C licence, it can actually help improve and develop you as a player. Widens your lens as well when you start thinking about, OK, why is my manager doing what they're doing? It's not just about the coaching. They need to be able to communicate effectively. They're having to plan. They're having to learn how to work with other people. Definite examples of transferable skills that you can use in any walk of life, not just in football.
The BTEC course has an incredibly high pass rate of 96%, and many players have seen the benefits of studying alongside football.
Of course, we probably want to be on the pitch, not in the classroom, but everyone knew that if you get the work done in here, that more time you get on the pitch. At Brighton, they always made it such a good place to be, the classroom, and a fun place to be as well. So I've been very lucky to get to the position where I am today, and I'm still working hard to sustain that. But some players at the end of a scholarship might not get the contract that they wanted. So I think to have them options on the table definitely sets you in a good stead.
My advice would be to never sack the education off, because it takes your head away from not being on the pitch and makes you as a better person being in the classroom.
I think everyone has different outlooks on education. Some people find it quite easy to get through the lessons, some people don't. After my first year of my scholarship, I wasn't as confident about getting a professional contract, and if I didn't get one, I knew that the work I'd done, that I wouldn't struggle as much as if I just sacked it off. It's definitely important to have that backup plan.
But others who've taken the course are more critical.
When you applied to go to Loughborough, would you have got in with BTEC qualification?
No, I had to do a foundation year for my first year at Loughborough. There was a joke. I don't want to sound like condescending. If someone like me, it was relatively easy. I'd go into a lesson and it'd be pretty basic, what you've almost done at GCSEs, really. There were lads in there who didn't have a clue mess about, and somehow their work would be done.
They say at the time, this BTEC might get you on XYZ uni course. It doesn't. It'll only really get you on a sport one or something related to the BTEC.
Everything that they offered was all to do with football. Football, for everybody, isn't the be-all or end-all. If you've been in that for 2 years, when everyone else has been at college, at sixth form, doing all their schooling stuff, you might be a bit behind. It might have been my downfall, really, not having that backup plan to take that little bit of pressure off you.
You have an education system starting in your first year of your scholarship. I personally believe it's a speedy boarding pass just to get your education done.
The footballing authorities point out higher education options are available, and players enrolling in A-levels has climbed, up to nearly 20% in the last academy cohort. These players are so desperate to become professional footballers. They're teenage boys. It's their dream. Because of that, they don't take their education as seriously. Are you, as a football club, always battling against that and trying to say that the education is just as important as the football side of things?
So I probably don't recognise that narrative. I think that narrative maybe did exist a number of years ago when it was a choice between education and football. I think if you look at the support staff that we now have, particularly at Cat 1 academies, I mean, I think we employ 4 or 5 full-time education staff and another 10 teachers who come and support the kids. So I think the opposite is now in place. If we look at the facts and we look at the academic results that come out of our young footballers, because they're motivated, because their football is intrinsically linked to their academic education, it proves a motivator and a stimulant to actually make sure they do better.
Luckily for us, we've got role models now. When we can point to Bukayo Saka, when you're underneath the bonnet of his development, you see what an studious academic he is. We can talk to Rico Lewis at Manchester City, and then obviously Jude Bellingham was doing his A-levels while still in Germany. I think that gives a more accurate picture of what the academy environment is about.
Ofsted regulates the education provided by the Premier League and LFE, and the latest reviews were graded outstanding.
We're looking at the standards that have been set in the apprenticeships, which are very focused on becoming a professional sports person. We're looking at the academic alongside that, so we'll look at how English and mathematics are being developed. We'd look at the quality of education, we'd look at the personal development, we'd look to make sure that young people are safe in that provision, and we'd be looking to see that it is well led. We also look at things like their behaviours. We look at how well young people are developing character, but ultimately we're looking at how those standards are being developed over time, how the apprenticeship provider, how they've created a curriculum that enables young people to meet those ultimate goals.
And what do your latest assessments show?
We are seeing a very professional environment in football. Clubs supported by those providers in the EFL and the Premier League are doing lots of work to make sure that young people are developing wider skills in the football and sporting industries. And the behaviours were exemplary, we found.
The LFE plays a crucial role in monitoring progress. They check in on how players are developing both on and off the field. We went to Blackburn Rovers, who gave us access to the review process for their first-year scholars. Okay. Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Yeah, good to see you, pal.
It's a key process for LFE. We've got 15 regional officers who operate at every academy in the EFL. What was the feedback like from the club?
We just said keep doing what you're doing. I'm looking for ways to improve.
And every 2 or 3 months, we sit down and take time to spend a bit of time individually with the boys and reflect on the programme, reflect on their progress, ask what they need to do to improve, challenge them to give us information about what they feel, the skills that they need to do to get better on the pitch and off the pitch. How's your football going?
Oh, it's going good. Playing lots of minutes, enjoying my football.
We'll have those conversations and they will be independent of the club. They'll be independent of the college. They've got amazing support now. You know, we don't see the apprentices as often as the staff that are here. And because of that, perhaps, you know, they do open up maybe once or twice in certain areas that they actually feel that comfortable. We're not a threat, we're not a challenge. And I'm not saying the staff are, but it's just that detachment that I think helps.
They give us like a support network for us. Skinner's really good with us. Outside the club, it's nice to have someone there.
9 times out of 10, everything's absolutely flying, but you do get one now and again where something's not quite right. If you think about whatever a 16 to 18-year-old young person can get into, we've probably had it. We've had all manner of different issues that have impacted on that boy's progress. The really sort of heartwarming part of the job that we do is when you can deal with an issue, is when you can offer support.